So is there going to be a specific way that we were going to open up, or?
No, I'm open for questions, guys.
All right. In that case, we'll start out of left field, just so we don't have to break people's rhythm later.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite Motley Crue song?
No!
I don't. I don't.
Oh, do you have a favorite song?
I
'Cause you've done a lot of singing work.
think, what's that song? I can't think of it. Oh, we were out
Sing
late
it to us.
It's a standard, it's a classic, and it's I'll Be Seeing You.
Cool. All right. Is there sort of an aspect of the job of voice acting, singing to the skills and talents carry over well? Like I noticed in the Beck, we had some of the people who did the music production of that, and they said they were really glad that the voice actors' talents also lended themselves to music, and
Yeah,
you
without a
doing a lot
doubt.
of
Without a doubt.
appropriate
I've been singing my whole life, but I've been doing more I studied singing as a kid in choirs and everything else. I always sang in the church choir, and then I sang in the chorale in school and in high school and everything. And then when I came to LA, my first gig was singing in a club called the Smokehouse, which was, how's your steak? It was classic, how's your steak? Singing lots of standards and everything else. And then I stopped for a while. I sang with a big band, and I wasn't crazy about the band leader, and he actually made singing work and a chore, and I started to feel really bad about my singing and started to get very insecure about it, so I stopped because singing was always a joy for me. And at that point I'd started directing, so I just said, well, I'll just take a break and just sing with the family. The whole family gets together, we sing 4-part harmonies at Christmas, and it's really gross and wonderful. And then I got this call, come and audition for, it was the same, Zero Limit Productions, the same company that we did Cowboy Bebop with. So I was directing for them at the time, and they said, come and audition for this thing called Silent Hill. And I said, okay. And I looked at the song, and I said, wow, this is for a much higher voice than me, And they said, but that's what they want. They want a voice that is in contrast, a complete opposite of what it would normally be, because it's this crazy, drugged out, freaky Silent Hill kind of thing. So, and that's how I got it. And it was all about the acting. So all the acting I had done was a complete, it's the only way that I could basically get through the Silent Hill stuff is through the acting, because it should really be sung by someone like Kari Wahlgren or Kate Higgins, who's got a much higher, clearer, beautiful tone, but they wanted that contrast, and they wanted that, so that's kind of what I gave them, and I'm still giving them. So.
Oh, nice. This is actually something that I was talking about with Richard Epcar last year, because I got to talk to him. That was a lot of fun.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Everything that I heard from the panel on Friday was hilarious and squared perfectly with what I'd seen of him. One of the things that somebody else mentioned to him, which I picked up on, was you have something like The Matrix, where you have the Judeo-Christian monomyth as being the thing that drives the whole story, the underpinning of the story. And Ghost in the Shell, you basically have the Buddhist, Hinduist monomyth, where everything is reincarnation and cycles and the spirit apart from the body and things like that. I was wondering if you had thought about that while you were doing the show. That there's a very strong spiritual underpinning to everything that's going on. It's not just about machines and technology and software and so on.
Well, I always saw it as more of the human condition, and having to deal with, the physical limitations of being in the body, and what it would be like if you could actually do away with that, and what kind of race would we become if we just became sort of these spiritual entities who could change our physical body just by plugging in to the web, basically.
Like changing a shirt.
Yeah, pretty much, and what would that do to us as a society, and would we become, would the Vulcans finally land, basically? Would we get to the point where we were that,
Advanced.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So for me, that's what it was always about, and I started thinking, what would I be like if my soul, spirit, whatever, was in a completely different
Container.
Yeah, completely different container. It leaves a lot of questions open, and makes you think a lot about what kind of person you are and how much you're affected by your physical being, and how in our society, people are treated a very specific way just because of the way that they look. So it's interesting.
So what's it like coming here after maybe people don't recognize you in public, but when you come here, you have, like at the panels where fans call you things like a goddess.
It's
What is that?
insane. That's an out-of-body experience, really, because I just,
Speaking of going on the body.
yeah, I mean, I feel like Sally Field in Soap Dish. I go to the mall in Paramus, and all of a sudden, it's the woman from the soap opera, and I'm like, what? You know, it's crazy, because I live a pretty anonymous life. You know, we go into a very small, dark, you know, rather nice, beautiful, dark room, and I sit and we watch TV, and we talk to the TV, and I get a group of actors in the room. We do original animation, so it's a very tight-knit group of really amazingly talented people in LA that we do this with, and it's just, you come here and you realize, wow, the stuff that we're doing really affects a lot of people and is touching a lot of different lives, and it makes you go back and want to do better and better and better and better. Although last Friday we had this amazing young man. It was our Make-A-Wish Day, and it was his Make-A-Wish was to come into the studio. A beautiful boy named Cameron, and his whole family came in, and I mean, that was his Make-A-Wish, was to come into Naruto and sit in the afternoon and spend up, 4 hours with us, and that to me was sort of, it was everything. So imagine that on this now huge scale of all these people. It's mind-blowing, I mean, I used to do on-camera work, and I really didn't like being in the spotlight so much. I sort of like being behind the scenes now. So this can be overwhelming, but in the best sense, hopefully I can take this back with me and spread it around to everyone and sort of share the love and then pay it forward and see if we can continue to do the show that we're doing better and better, and just continue to improve the work that we're doing, because we see what kind of response, and we're doing it for them, it's the reason why I do it.
I'll take the next one. You co-wrote the script for the movie Metropolis.
Yeah.
What was your first impression when you saw the movie, and what was your biggest challenge working on it?
Time, really. I mean, I'd seen the trailer for Metropolis about a year beforehand and just thought, oh, that would be amazing. And when Zero Limit got it, and Mark Handler was supposed to write the entire thing, but they were in such a time crunch. And I was directing Digimon at the time, season 3, I think. And they said, we need to get this script done in a week. So will you write the second half? And I said, absolutely, whatever I can do. I was story editor for Digimon at the time, so I still had, and directing, and I had a lot of work to do, but I just, would go home at night and write and write and write. And I started in the middle of the movie, and I just knew if I could just get to the Ray Charles song, I'll be fine. I'll be fine, because that's, a good 3-minute chunk, and then we're right near the end, and God, that was a beautiful movie. That's a beautiful movie. That was an absolute honor. I remember talking to Mel Brooks about that. I met him in a sushi restaurant, and he was there with his business partner, and he goes, what do you do? What do you do? What's your name? What's your name? What do you do? What do you do? And his business partner, his writing partner, was a big anime fan, which I had no idea. I said, well, I just finished writing the second half of Metropolis, and this guy just freaked out, and I was like, what does she do? I don't understand. What does she do? Tell me, tell me. And sort of explained it. McGlynn, your name, McGlynn. Yeah, no. So it was sort of nice to know that I at least impressed Mr. Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
Partner, It was an amazing film. It really was.
It's actually our blog creator's favorite movie as well.
Yeah, it's exquisite, and I think Kevin Seymour did a great job with it, and it was hard. It was a very, condensed time of focus, figure out how to make this amazing, and
All right.
and to deal with, Mark was from the first half, and I was like, send me what you have so I know that I'm on the same, that I'm styling the characters the same way that you are, so. It was great. Great challenge.
You talked about, that sort of fan in the mall moment.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on the other end of that? Like, you find yourself in these studios, or like meeting Mel Brooks or something like that. Have you ever find yourself just sort of, oh my God, I'm meeting
Yes.
And
Oh, completely, of course. I get starstruck all the time. We do a lot of original stuff. Well, directing Sam Jackson was just,
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Wonderful story.
Yeah, just, so to try and just sort of keep her cool is a very, that thing, I was picking up, my husband shot a commercial in South Africa about, 15 years ago, and I went to pick him up at LAX International, and it was the weekend of the Oscars.
Oh,
And it was the year of Sense and Sensibility, and off the plane walked Emma Thompson, who for me is just it, you know,